All right, we are live today, and I have a guest speaker from the BYB sale. This is Shannon from Captivating Compass. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, how are you?
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, just to my audience here, I came on yesterday to talk a little bit about the BYB sale, and if you missed that, you can go back and see what the BYB sale is and what we're talking about here. I have several guest speakers lined up for this coming week, because I want to share with you guys the most information that I can about the sale, so you feel like you're getting the best deal out of this. So today we have Shannon, and I'm really excited about this because she has 5, I believe. How many?
Actually, 7.
7. Awesome.
7, if I counted them right myself.
Okay, great. So she has 7 amazing unit studies in here, and I've been following Shannon for a while. Her company is called Captivating Compass, and I'll let her tell you all about herself in just a minute here. But she has really fun unit studies, and a lot of them are for upper kids. So if you're following me and you have younger kids, my tip is this is kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that her products are in this sale. So you can get these for an incredible price if you get the 75 to 90% off. So for me, this is a hard thing to pass up because we don't know when this will come around again. So I would just suggest if you're filling up your cart in the BYB sale, add these in, even if you have younger kids, because they'll be on your computer. You can use them later.
Yes.
Or there may be elements you can use with younger kids.
Yeah. That's definitely true. You know, a lot of the products I have, actually, while you were talking, I was counting in my head. There's actually, you were right. There's 5 unit studies, and then there's 2 other type of product things that actually have to do a little bit more on the travel side of things than on the homeschool side of things. But that's kind of the way I roll. I do homeschool and travel together. So
yeah, that's
so. But you were talking about the unit studies. They are in the upper grades bundles, but really they fit well either if you want to use them with younger grades. It's probably doable for parts of it. You'll just have to be selective, and I point that out in there in most of them. But as families, because the unit studies are built on museums, actually, they're built around. So there's 3 science unit studies, and everything is Let's Study. So there's Let's Study Archimedes Beyond Eureka. So learning about him beyond his Eureka moment. And that one is the one that's not too museum oriented, although I do add some in. But the rest of them are, I use information from museums about Isaac Newton and about Galileo and about Shakespeare and about Dickens, and look at history and science or literature through the eyes of these famous individuals and how they impacted history, but also how history impacted them and the things that they brought forth. So yeah, so that's the crux of it. And they, like I said, you can use them with younger kids, but there will be more hands-on parent involvement if you make that choice. And they really are geared toward that middle school and up. But my 6th graders did them this year and would have done them and did them last year too.
Fun.
So yeah.
And that's the fun thing about just homeschooling with families is you can do a lot of things with a range of ages. Whereas if you're in classrooms that are isolated by ages, you really have to focus on just that age. But when you do unit studies, younger kids can really enter in at their own level, and older kids can just take it a little bit further.
Yeah, fun. There's a lot of videos involved in each of them. And then there's worksheets and there's questions, and to weight it so that it can be put toward like high school credit, there's exams and there's projects and that kind of thing too. And they really are full scale. The science ones have science experiments. And so there's, the way I put it together is the 3 science studies. If you do all 3 and you do all the science experiments, as you should do with science, right? Then you probably have a pretty good rounded out year of science. with those 3 together. It's
Awesome.
not going to be deep dive into physics for a full year, but it's going to give you the opportunity to do physics and do study astronomy and study through the lives of these people and that kind of thing. And so it's a little bit of a different take on some hard subjects. So if you have a student that's struggling with a typical, traditional style of physics class, maybe this is something that they'll enjoy. And if you have a student who loves history and wants to deep dive into people and biographies, then that's just another great way to look at it. And you're still learning science while you're learning the history and learning about the museums you want to go and visit. So
that's awesome. I like it. Speaking of museums, I've seen that you have some tips for virtual museum tours.
I do. I have a lot of tips, and I have some products that I put together that didn't quite make it into the Build Your Bundle sale because I finished them in March as we were all figuring out, wow, virtual museums is the way to go. So I had some ideas in the background, but it was kind of just a side thing. So I put those together. But yeah, so there's a lot of virtual museum stuff. And one of the things that I did put together is actual field trip packet. And it's in the special needs bundle. And the reason I bring it up when you're talking about virtual museums is because on my site, I have a virtual museums packet as well that I put together. And part of it is what's on the Build Your Bundle site, which is the family travel and field trip planner. And I put it together with a friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine whose kids are autistic. And she wrote a book, ABCs, Autistic ABCs. And so we took that book and built in together some printables for creating social stories, for doing field trips and narratives to help them plan. Field trips are days different than a typical routine day. So it helps. We put all the materials together to be able to help special needs kids have a sense of routine and a sense of what to expect. And kind of all kids kind of need that, in my opinion.
That's great. Yeah.
So as well as teaching, that's the field trip. Actually, that's the travel side part of that unit. And then the field trip side of it has everything you need to do a field trip, either as a family or with a larger group. And so when those types of things begin to happen again, you'll be ready for it. Yeah. So take a look at those. That one's in the special needs study because it's specifically geared towards special needs. But many of the things when we were working on it together, it was like, you know what? I would totally use this with my kids. My kids need to know this as well, not just, So, yeah.
Great. Well, I have a link in here to, I didn't say, Isaac Newton. I dropped a link to Isaac Newton.
Okay, great.
So if you guys want to click through, you can get into the sale through that and see her product. And then you can, I believe within every product description, you can click and see the website.
Yeah. So I think you can see what bundles they're in, and then you can go to the website and look around and see the different, just get a feel for what the resources are about. And again, if anybody has questions, they are welcome to text me and, send me a message or whatever, and I'm happy to answer any questions. There are a couple free samples out there too. If people want to take a look at it, those are in the shop. They can take a look at it and then jump back over to the Build Your Bundle site with your link and grab it if they find that that's what they want. So, yeah.
So here coming through is the just the general link. So if you go just to the site in general and type Captivating Compass, you can see all 7 products and then do some more.
Oh, okay. Do they have a general link for each contributor? Are you on the Build Your Bundle site?
So yeah, if you just go to that link and then just do search at the top.
Cool. I hadn't done that yet. So I've been busy doing other things.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. The way it all started for us with the museum kind of focus on a different take on how to do science and how to do literature. The other studies that are in there are Let's Study Shakespeare and Let's Study Shakespeare's Medieval England and Let's Study Dickens' Victorian England. And so you can kind of see there's a bit of a UK theme there, and that's kind of great. Intentional. So, but what happened for us was that I found that my kids were going, we actually live in the UK. And so we were going to these museums and kind of getting overload. And while they were incredibly fun and really enjoyable, and they learned a lot, they still came, 20 minutes to half a day into it, they're glazed over because there was nothing to pinpoint their focus with, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
So when I realized the resources we had and that we weren't quite using them to the best of their ability, I decided, okay, we can fix this. And that's kind of where this all transpired, was learning about people, learning about places, learning about these great inventions, and then going and seeing those places. And when the opportunity arises, experiencing them in person. And so many now are virtual museums that you don't even have to get on a plane. You don't have to have a passport anymore, practically. Right. So, although I think everybody should, but you don't have to. So that's where that came from. The idea for that, with the goal of helping the kids create a solid foundation of information, so that they can then have another kind of, hook to hang knowledge on with it, and look at it, and then looking at it through a different aspect, through a different lens of like looking at science through the lens of history.
Sure.
So that's kind of, that's how it all started.
I love it. Yeah. And that's such a good way to build knowledge, is to kind of, I don't know if that's truly the cyclical way of doing it, but you build a structure and then everything, hooks onto it, like you're saying.
Yeah.
You build up such a solid thing because you have connections to everything.
Yeah.
That's great.
And so that's part of why, when I did the Shakespeare and the Dickens piece, I added in another aspect, which is a final project that's kind of weighty and kind of might make your head hurt a little bit, but not too much, where it's called Dinner with Dickens or Dinner with Shakespeare. And you create a dinner party in the time period where the host is Shakespeare or Dickens, and he invites his contemporaries, and you have to figure out who can you sit next to each other, and what would they talk about, and what's a famous quote from that person, and all these, and what kind of food would they eat, and all that kind of thing. So it's kind of a fun end of the unit project where you take it out one step further of who else was alive during this time period, not just Shakespeare, not just Dickens. And I will probably go back and I'll try to do those with Galileo and Isaac Newton, although I didn't do those in the beginning. Those are pretty much science-based. So, yeah.
I love it. And I love that there's UK theme here, because I know there's a whole bundle of American studies and there's some things about the United States, but there's also a Europe geography piece and there's an Asia geography piece. And this is a great way to tie in a lot of the history and science that's come out of the Europe area.
Yeah. Over on my site, there's blog posts that talk about looking at the bundle from a geographical standpoint.
Okay, good.
So if people want to go there, they can, but I want them to make sure that they come back and use your link. So, that goes to you and everything. Because we want to work as partners. It's all about getting the resources out to the individuals and letting them know what they're really about, because there are just so many there.
Right.
That to have a few minutes to talk about each of them would still take, 10 hours or something,
Exactly.
So thank you so much for giving me the chance to talk about those pieces. The other product I have out there it's a premium product.
Okay.
And it's the How to Turn Any Homeschool Curriculum into a Family Travel Adventure. And that was kind of my flagship product, where I created an 8-part course about looking at vacationing and family travel from the aspect of homeschooling. So either by choosing your curriculum based on the destination you plan on going, or choosing the destination based on what you're studying or plan to study. So like if I know I'm going to Boston for a family reunion, then maybe all winter and spring we study things that are going to get us to Boston to learn. So we'd study the Boston Tea Party. We would study, American Revolution type of things and those kind of things. And then there you go. Or if you're studying medieval history and all things medieval, then you plug those in and you find the place that you want to really solidify that learning, whether it's the UK or any other country that has medieval history, then you take that aspect with it. So that was kind of fun too, just taking a little bit of a different take on it. So
see, that's what I love about this time of year. After a few cycles of being in the homeschooling world myself, I've realized May is kind of a time of rejuvenation and re-envisioning what homeschooling can look like. So I've been kind of hitting a slump. I think this whole world situation has kind of knocked everything off your regular, your normal schedule. Yeah. But I've been looking forward to this and to just getting a kind of things set in gear in motion for next year and re-envisioning how are we doing education? How are we inspiring our kids? Because that's what inspires me as a homeschooling mom is saying, what are we going to do to make learning exciting? And I absolutely love your approach to it, that you can build themes around travel locations and around places. And even if we're temporarily stuck, we can't travel, but there's so many virtual places. So I love your research.
And there's some great virtual museums out there. Sometimes they're a little bit clunky is what I found out. And that's why I started creating the other pieces, was because I was like, wait, people need to see this, but they also need to not just go, it doesn't need to be passive learning. That's what I found. We were doing virtual museums with kids and stuff. And I was like, this is just so passive. We're just scrolling on by. I was like, no, stop. There's something to learn here. Exactly. So it's like, okay, we'll fix that. So
yes. That's fun.
So but thank you for having me. And so my products, now tell me again what your products are in there, because I need to have those in my head as well.
Yeah. So I have the math art, which is a top seller right now. I was excited about that.
Oh, good.
It's the activity unit. So it's designed kind of for 5 to 10-year-olds, although older kids could participate if you're doing a family together.
Sure.
And it's kind of to give kids a taste of what math can be, that it's not just worksheets with numbers, but it's studying patterns in the universe and creating tessellations and so much. So I can Fibonacci is in there. Absolutely. So all of these kind of things that often get pushed out of the agenda when you're focusing on tests and worksheets, bring it back and get kids exposed to it in a fun hands-on way. So that's one thing. And then in the premium section, I have my course, Developing Number Sense.
Right.
Part 1, which goes deep through just getting kids to really develop their number sense using 10 frames. And then addition and subtraction all the way up through triple digits. So it goes maybe from 4 to 6 or 7 or 8-year-olds. So
that's great.
That's in there too.
That's great. Well, I'm excited about those. I know you've been working on those. We've been talking about those for a few months now, haven't we? Kind of in other areas and stuff. So I'm excited that both of those are in there for you, and that you have a top seller. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
People need to go and grab those. So, well, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
And if people have questions, let them know. You can send me the questions or whatever. I'm just happy to help.
Sounds good. All right.
Thank you.
And I'll be back with Maria Miller. I think I'll be able to pull that off from Math Mammoth. I think I have that in the works for later this week. And then Shannan might be able to help set me up with a couple other people next year. Get everybody showing you behind the scenes of what
totally
explore. All right. Thank you for coming on. And anybody who's watching, feel free to drop questions now or later as you're watching replays, and we'll be here to answer those.
Definitely.
All right. We'll see you guys later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.